Welcome back to the MyLatinLife podcast. Since 2014, MyLatinLife has been your trusted guide to traveling in Latin America. Our guest today is Jimmy Rios from GringoPaisa. It's a Facebook group, community for Americans in Medellin. They've been around since 2011. So definitely some OGs in the space. And we welcome Jimmy to the podcast. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you? I appreciate you having me on here. It's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And better yet, you're Colombian American, right?
Yeah, first generation dual citizenship. My brother and I have a twin brother, Johnny Rios, who is the brainchild of the GringoPaisa Americans in Medellin group in Medellin. But we loved Medellin from childhood. We were always going there in our summers, taking our trips to Colombia and with my parents, and we actually went to school there too, and just embraced the culture and the country. I always felt like we had two worlds in the U.S. and in Colombia, and we have passion for both, and the food and the culture and everything that goes with it. So we wanted to share that with other Americans that may be aware of being in like Puerto Rico or Mexico or the Dominican, but maybe never got into going deeper into other countries and experiencing what life is like there,
Mm-hmm. So you have like an active Colombian passport?
I do. Yeah, both American and Colombian passports, and the cédula, which is kind of like the equivalent of the U.S. Social Security card,
Sure, yeah.
right? To be able to open
Cédula.
bank accounts and have those things that you need to really ingrain yourself in that community without having to jump through so many hoops, because there's always a lot of hoops to no different than somebody from Latin America coming to the U.S. and having to live under a tourist visa or otherwise. Obviously it's a lot easier if you can go through and get everything that you need to be able to extend your stay a lot longer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a very powerful passport, the Colombian passport, more so than people would realize, because it's part of Mercosur as well as the Andean community. I'm almost positive it's part of the Andean community,
Yeah.
Which makes it part of two different settlement blocks, which is pretty interesting.
It is.
Andean community. Okay, let me double check live on the air. Yeah, Colombia's in it. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a very powerful passport. I believe you might be a dad. Have you given that to your children as well?
No, my kids actually got to, it's one of those things where as I was building my business here in the States, ultimately, I always wanted to have my kids go to Colombia and have that experience, but there was always something that kept us from doing things and being able to get them out there. My mom has a house there, and we were able to take my daughter when she was 9. She's 19 now, and just this summer, we were able to take all 3 of my kids. So they got to finally experience 2 weeks in Colombia this past summer in June, and it was a first experience. Well, Bella's second, but it's awesome because they got to experience it, the food, the culture, and obviously the music, everything that we were raised with, and for them to experience it as gringos now, they talk about it, and they're really wanting to get more out of that culture. So I'm sure they'll be visiting grandma a lot more now that they got exposed to it. And that's what it's about. It's more about exposing, engaging in the experiences, and it was a great gift that I was finally able to give them.
Yeah. I mean, all of your kids should do it. They should be entitled to it. We could even help if you need a good lawyer,
Yeah,
because it's important to pass these things to the next generation.
no, for sure. And that was one of the things we always, when we started GringoPaisa, Americans in Medellin, the Facebook group, we wanted to help other Americans that wanted to get more information on how to go and do these things, right? And so teaming up with experts like yourself and, helping the community, that's huge. I mean, I really embrace that, and I appreciate you offering that, because it's difficult. It's daunting. It's another world. And, we're used to going and vacationing, but then what if we want to explore other things? What are some of the things that we need to know and do to be able to start really enjoying life in Latin America,
Yeah, I deal with it every day. You probably do as well. People say, "Hey, I married a girl from down there, and now it's like, do I do the marriage visa, the digital nomad visa, the rentista, like all this stuff." So,
Right? 100%.
so, and if I may ask, your spouse, is she like American, or what's
Oh,
her background?
yeah, Sylvia. Sylvia, she's American. She's her dad was in the military, and her mom is Native American, and so just her dad's white, blue-eyed, and her mom's dark-haired and native-looking, and it's a great mix. But she I've been with her for over 10 years, and she's learning Spanish, and really trying to acclimate. We live in Arizona, so we're only about 3.5 hours from Mexico, and a beach town called Puerto Penasco or Rocky Point. So we tend to gravitate to the beaches when we can, and then when we go to Colombia, obviously partake in the culture there. We got to go to San Andres, which is a little island off the coast of Colombia and in the Pacific or on the Caribbean side, and it was really cool to be able to see other facets of Colombia, not just Medellin, right?
Yeah, yeah. How is Rocky Point? Have you been recently, like post
We just
pandemic?
came back. We were there Tuesday through Thursday. Came back yesterday, and we go there a lot because it's so close to where we live, and it's grown a lot. A lot of Americans going there and investing, and really you're seeing a lot of developments. The city still hasn't caught up. I think they're still trying to get more investments to be able to put the infrastructure. I think like a Tulum or Puerto Vallarta. It's not there yet. They need a port. They need to do a lot more infrastructure. But I mean, for locals here in Arizona, a 3.5 hour drive to Rocky Point is like it's so much closer than going to San Diego for the beach, and the water's warmer, and you get the best of both worlds. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's an up and coming spot. Like, would you agree it's probably gonna, double, triple in population in no time?
Well, I have no doubt. In fact, my wife and I we own RiosRealtors.com. It's our real estate division, and we're looking at a huge project by the airport that we're going to help undertake and help develop with investors, where you're going to see an American or a Mexican hospital that is going to accept American insurance and attract a lot of Americans that want to live and feel like they're in the States with the same amenities, but that they didn't have that before. So to be able to bring stuff like that to a country is amazing, and that's where I think it needs to be. Is we have an aging population. I mean, I'm going to be 50, but we have our parents who are in their 70s, right? They're wanting to retire and enjoy a simpler life, maybe more inexpensive. Your dollar can go a lot further in these countries, and if we properly position some solutions so they can feel like they're in the States without having to be in the States, why not? So a lot of the stuff I'm looking at and developing is in that mindset. Is my wife and I, my kids are going to graduate from high school in about a year and a half, and we're looking at making that move to full time living, either partially. Maybe we also have a place in Puerto Vallarta, so maybe live a little bit of time in Rocky Point, go to Puerto Vallarta, go hit Medellin, and just enjoy life in those different countries, right? And maybe get to explore Costa Rica, or maybe get to explore some other islands, and really start living that Latin life, that we like to
There
talk
you
about.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's coming up for you when you think like Latin life and retirement and um, taking that next step?
I think it's very important to set your foundation, right? So that I model my life, what I want to do, very similar to what my mom did, because she was able to retire with her Social Security income, have a maid, everything's paid off. She's living the life very simply, and they bring her fruit and her vegetables, everything comes to her house. I mean, it's just really cool little things that we take for granted, right? That we don't have in the States. And to be able to have the monetary means monthly, so we're not chasing our tail, having to go get a job, do those things. I think it's very important. I think we can all get there. It's just that, we're programmed in the States to think that we got to wait to be 70 to retire, and we don't. We just have to think differently and being able to start learning and educating ourselves on the things that are needed in these countries to start putting things to work now, right? Because you can start working towards that goal now and getting there, but you have to have a plan. And many people, it's easy to get a plane ticket and go to a place, but you got to do a little research. You got to educate yourself on what it is, where you're going, the customs, the culture. There's a lot of things in assimilating. I always tell people, look, go get some Airbnbs and rent for a while and assimilate yourself to the lifestyle for a while, right? Don't just jump in and buy something without really knowing and experiencing the life, right? And once you do that for a little bit, you start getting some nuances out of the way. You start learning, and that's good. That's a good education to have before investing in any country, ourselves included. When we do this, before we buy in Medellin or any of these places, we're going to go live there, for a month and live the life so you can assimilate and see what it's like. Is it going to be something you like or not? Right? Is there too much traffic? Is there all these variables that we just don't think about? I think it's important to see that.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking offline specifically about Medellin, and I think a lot of stuff will overlap to Mexico as well. But you had kind of a mini list in mind of maybe 10 things that people should be aware of before they go down to Medellin.
Yeah, I mean, I put some of these here. I put so yeah, do a long stay first, right? Try to after you decide this is something you want to do, 1 to 3 months trial before committing full time. And then I put understand the tourist versus long term residency options. Try to keep multiple bank accounts, like Wise, Remitly, to avoid some currency shocks that could occur. I put housing, put rent first. Don't rush into buying. Learn local contracts and neighborhoods. Healthcare. Compare your public versus your private systems. Carry international insurance. Language. Spanish isn't optional. Take classes or practice daily. Get into expat groups, local friends, church, clubs, and then know your local laws, culture, etiquette, and keep documents up to date. These are just some of the things I like to kind of talk about, because in those countries, especially now with the internet and with Facebook, there's so many ways to start learning. When I took the kids, I put us in a salsa class to learn how to dance, right? It was just the little things, At the very least, they didn't know how to dance perfectly, but they got out there, they had fun, and it broke that barrier of, I'm too shy, or, I don't know how to dance, or this or that. But learn how to take a cooking class, right? Learn how to cook arepas and chicharrón and some of these other staples of what they eat, and in the same time enjoy the experience. A lot of different things that you can do while assimilating yourself to the culture and to the area.
Don't wear cargo shorts.
I mean, it is what it is, man. There's going to be you're anywhere you go, you're going to be labeled. It's okay. I think I tell people, be careful, be aware of your surroundings, right? It's just like I'm not going to go in and put myself in areas that probably shouldn't be, right? Like, be aware of those surroundings and try not to put yourself in situations that could harm you, right? There is more vulnerability that can happen by being an American, right? My brother just put a post on Facebook about a guy in Medellin that had been drugged by a girl, right? Scolapine. Yeah. Got scope. Yep. And in overnight, that thing hit 63,000 views on because the guy who got scoped found the girl at a club, and it was all videotaped, and they were able to get her, and she had done the same with other Americans.
Just this week, it was like a white guy.
Yeah.
This one, and the police came. Dude, I saw this one. You know the guy?
Yeah. Now we don't know the guy, but my brother just used that clip and put it on GringoPaisa, and it hit like 63,000 views in the last 24 hours. So it's ridiculous how many people are seeing that because it's real and it's something that you got to be, you got to be aware of. Don't take it for granted that there's bad people out there too causing harm.
So tell me, were your family from the Antioquia region or a different
Yeah.
region of Colombia?
No, they're from Antioquia and specifically Medellin and in the heart. And
Oh,
my
wow.
dad immigrated to the U.S. in '68. Big family, 12 and 13 brothers on both sides of my mom and dad's side. So we
Wow.
have family that went to New York, they went to Queens, and into Miami, L.A., Arizona. We've scattered everywhere, but now we're starting to see more of us heading back to Medellin. Parents for sure are retiring back to Medellin, and I mean it's taken on a very modern twist. And Medellin has become a very modern city and a lot of Americans love the feel because you can speak English. Most people speak English in some form, and there's just a lot of resources.
How have things changed kind of since the beginning? I'm sure over the past 15 years, since
Yeah.
the forming of the group in 2011, a lot of changes.
Well, I think there's a lot of groups out there that were just throwing a lot of excuse my language, a lot of crap out there, and we took the group extremely serious and wanting to help the group and build a community. So we got very good at moderating a lot of the fluff and a lot of things that we felt that weren't contributing to the vision and mission of a community. A community is meant to be put together to help, to love, and to help enrich each other's experience. And I think there was a lot of stuff that was getting posted about, drugs and, women and this and that. And those are lifestyle things that, I mean, they're going to be out there regardless, but we want to focus on bettering somebody's life and the experience, the good of what the country brings, and those aspects of it. You're always going to be able to do any of those other things if you choose. We're more about building a community that is fruitful, that can help each other, that just a lot of help, and that's what it was meant to do, right? So we got a lot of haters too. We got a lot of people that love us, but they don't like the rules and maybe some of the things we've implemented to keep the community safe in how we do things. But I think there's a lot that appreciate that. And that's why it's become such a powerful group because of those things that we implemented from a long time ago.
Yeah, you gotta try to keep it family friendly, or it's just
Totally.
gonna devolve into chaos,
It
especially with the
does.
Medellin group. I mean,
Yeah, totally. Well, you got misconceptions, right? Medellin is a great city, but because of the past, we have things to deal with, and that's okay. It's not bad to, face the reality of everything, right? The reality is that those things, there's always going to be drugs. There's always going to be that side of the coin, right? We want to focus on what betterments, why people should go. You can get drugs and alcohol anywhere you go, right? Well, that's not the highlight. The highlight is when you go for a week, 2 weeks, a year, you want to live there. What are the things that are going to keep you wanting to stay there? What is it? What's that call to action that would want you to say, I'm going to go to Medellin as opposed to going to any other country, right? So we want to highlight that beauty, that we've been able to uncover as Americans living in Medellin and partaking of that.
Yeah, and I feel like it must have been a very different crowd in the early days from say 2011 up to, maybe 2020, where there just weren't that many digital nomads and expats. I wonder what the crowd you were getting was like. There's a lot less flights too. There was less direct flights and
Right.
stuff. So
Well,
it must
this
have
is the
been
thing.
like
Yeah,
backpackers and
yep. I think the digital nomad world has exploded. People wanted to see different ways that they could live and still partake in, the financial side of it. So that, being able to earn in American dollars and spend in Colombian pesos was a big attraction. And how do you do that, right? Can I live in this country and still live, really well? And so the digital nomad lifestyle arose from that, right? And seeing that you could live in both sides, and it was attainable. It's just nobody at that time knew really how to go about doing it. And we start seeing more businesses propping up, offering, different services, American services, and started seeing more contractors, and things started just kind of blowing up, right? So now, like for my business as Rios Business Advisors, I help a lot of businesses bring their systems to Colombia to be able to still help their American clients through Colombian VAs and different service providers that are probably less expensive working in Medellin, but can provide the same type of level of service with minimal accent. And those are great things to know and have, because a lot of companies, especially with the tariffs and everything that's been imposed, are looking for ways to be able to work more efficiently and get better. And so we've been helping businesses as well. And many of the expats have businesses of their own that they're needing some guidance on how to structure their Colombian side so they can keep working on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any services that you're particularly excited about?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I know we spoke a little bit about it, but I think the reality is in the Latin American countries, there's a way of doing everything when it comes to finances, and it's still very archaic. I mean, it took me a while to open an account in Colombia, meaning time frame. It's very archaic. Bringing financing in with American methodologies to Latin America to be able to build credit scores and to be able to do the things that we're doing in the U.S. is super important. It helps bridge a lot of the voids that we have in making that seamless transaction. And so we're getting there. I'm working behind the scenes with Rios Business Funding and our funding groups to be able to develop that type of system that will allow Americans to have a more seamless interaction without having to make it so difficult to be able to do the things and make it more seamless, kind of how the U.S. is built. It's not difficult to purchase a home and do things here, but over there it's very difficult. You have to have a lot of cash to do it. So we're working on some of these technologies to be able to do that in those countries.
And you mentioned you do realtor services. Is that in Colombia or Mexico, US,
Yeah,
all three?
all three. No, so I mean, those countries in Medellin, you don't have to have a real estate license to partake and do business. But we teamed up with Medellin Living, which is a real estate company that is devoted to real estate in Medellin. And we take a lot of them are Americans that are in that company, right? So we take a lot of American ideas with escrow companies, with just the different ways and methodologies, and adapted them to Colombian living, and Latin living. So we're working through that. I think there's still a lot of work to be done to call it a success. We have more work to do, but I think that's the way it's heading, because it's the way of the world. Technology is moving too quick. We're seeing a lot more in the crypto space and virtual wallets and all these things. You can't sit on the sideline. You got to jump in and really work with AI and all these technologies to make it your own and to make it work for the culture.
This episode of the MyLatinLife podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download. or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys. What tips do you have for people who are looking to invest in real estate in Colombia? Are there any gotchas or things stories you've heard, things you've learned along the way?
Well, I definitely feel that you got to be careful with who you talk to. I mean, there's like I said, some of these places are unregulated, so you don't have to have a license per se. So anybody can basically act as if they're an agent, and you don't have any way of really knowing. So you got to be careful to not fall to these fraudsters out there that are posing as realtors, saying they have a place to show you, and they might have just rented it as an Airbnb just to be able to extract down payment from you, and that happens. They'll rent a place, they'll have access to be able to show you this
That's
place,
a
and
full scam. That's like
yeah,
that's a con.
it's a con, and it happens more than you think.
Really?
Because it's the bells and whistles. It looks nice. It shows nice. You got a nice, well dressed man. And anybody can put a website up, and in minutes, they're scamming people. So try to do your due diligence. Reach out to us, and we can guide you with the right people. There's a lot of CPAs, bookkeepers, attorneys. Different professionals in different fields that come well recommended, that have gone through the experience already, and have the third party, escrow companies, intermediaries that can help move the money properly. So you're not going to worry about becoming a victim if you're working with groups that are already doing it and come well recommended.
Okay, definitely good advice. You mentioned the escrow thing a couple of times there. Is there something that people should know about escrow?
Well, the thing is that it's not with dealing with monies in different countries, right? You want to because you want to put that money in a safe account that is not going to just go floating somewhere where it shouldn't. And there's companies that will supplant and do that so that you feel comfortable in not only bringing in the money right through the proper channels, right, but it's safer than just doing it kind of like an old school handshake or that type of contract. So you want to be able to at least vet these companies and see how they can work for you. I mean, obviously everybody has a fee for service, but I think it's well worth it because you're dealing with a lot of money. Until I can develop the financial structure to be able to do a mortgage type of thing, most of these deals are done very cash centric with a lot of cash involved. And so anytime you're dealing with that much money, you want to make sure that it's in the right hands and not floating in the wrong place.
Okay. And so what do you recommend there? Like, I imagine the lawyers work directly with the good escrow, and I'd probably just
Yeah,
go to the ones the lawyer recommends.
correct.
Or what do you think?
No, definitely. I don't feel that you should just take a contract and not get represented by somebody a little higher up that can make sure that your contracts are being done right and that your money's going to be put in a proper channel. So I recommend always going up that ladder and talking to somebody that is knowledgeable in that world, and that way you're covering your tracks. It's just a matter of you don't want to have the opposite experience. So yeah, I got taken for X amount of money and have that experience. We want to be able to build on positive experiences. And I think that's the best thing is just do your due diligence, take your time. I always say go slow to go fast. And once you got all those pieces of the puzzle in place, you're going to be much better protected in your foundation.
Okay, sounds fair enough. uh, yeah, I mean, I think real estate transactions are pretty common in Colombia because it's one of the go-to ways to get an M-type visa.
Right.
Because people don't realize in Colombia there's different visa types, and the digital nomad visa and the student visa are visitor type visas, whereas the investor visa, as well as the marriage visa and some other categories, are M type visas. So if you don't want to get married, the investor visa or the business owner visa is the best sort of M type visa. And with those, it's better than a V type because you're working towards permanent residency and citizenship. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you want to be, accepted into that SEVP certified vocational or non-academic programs. You got to demonstrate the proficiency in English. You got to show financial proof, and try to maintain that residence abroad. The intent to return for the different things that you're trying to do. So there's different ways to get that and to go through those nuances and attaining those. It's important to understand those.
yeah, for sure. Probably worth mentioning, My Latin Life, we do real estate and immigration consulting, usually when there's an immigration component to it as well. So helping people get their residency visa, get their cedula and everything in
Right.
Colombia, put you on a path to citizenship. We have tax people if you want to kind of do things by the book and do all your declarations and everything if you're spending the majority of the year there. Citizenship by descent as well, like
That's great.
Jimmy has done,
Yeah.
which is huge.
And I'm going to invite you to become a member of GringoPaisa and become one of our experts in that group, because I think a lot of people in the group could use your services. You bring a lot of knowledge to a field that's needed, and would love to have you be a part of the group and get our expert badge to be able to offer your services to this wide
Yeah,
range of members.
I just like that you guys have been around for a long time and that it's actually like Colombian Americans kind of running it who can kind of see both sides of it. How do you
Yes.
do for the moderation of the group? I imagine you have like a handful of moderators.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because you would think these moderators would want to get paid, and we're still monetizing our system to be able to stay afloat. I mean, it, we haven't charged anybody anything in these all these years. Everything's been done through a passion and love to the community. So the moderators are a big part of what we do, and we consider them our family. And everything they do, they have other jobs and other things they're doing, but they're very passionate about moderating and making sure that the proper things are done through the group so that we can keep that mission alive. Eventually we'll get this to a point where we can pay them and give them that
And so
solace.
is it just Facebook or do you have other platforms?
Um, no, we average. I mean, we're in Instagram, and I think Johnny's putting stuff on TikTok. So we're slowly getting out into the other social media platforms. Mainly, it's Facebook. That we do a lot of work through, but ultimately, we'll spread our wings as we develop.
Yeah, I wish I was more on Facebook because that's where uh, there can be a lot of good clients and stuff on Facebook.
Yeah,
People who, not everybody's on Twitter, obviously, and YouTube's good. YouTube's a lot more kind of for everybody, and
yeah,
Facebook's kind of for everybody. You got the retirees there and stuff,
right.
which is a good market as well.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're helping Johnny to see different channels in marketing through my experience as well. I market a lot in a lot of different channels through my company, and so I'm learning as I'm going. But I think that synergy between my brother and I to be able to bring this to the masses and spread the word is now starting to take hold, and he's embracing. Johnny became a Meta certified content creator. So Johnny's very deep in marketing now, and he's starting to really spread his wings in that arena as a nomad, right? As a digital nomad himself, so he can walk the walk and talk the talk, But it's exciting to finally, like I said, go slow to go fast. Now we're starting to go fast because we built something over a period of time, and it's taken notice. We finally making some really heavy duty partnerships that are helping us even more, and that's what I see. I foresee us really becoming affiliated with other brands and other people that think in the same mentality like yourself, that would help the community grow even more and have those services to offer them, and they feel comfortable working in this and helping them. So I'd love to have you help us,
Yeah, definitely happy to be a partner and help people in your group with the residencies and all that stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's we have a what we do is we have Telegram groups. So we actually have a Columbia enthusiast Telegram group. It's much smaller.
Nice.
It's maybe 800-900 people, and it's like a dynamic chat and just talking about a little bit of everything Colombia. Underrated towns to visit and organizing meetups and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, I would love to be part of that. I got Telegram. Haven't used it as much as I probably should. So definitely love to engage in that community for sure.
Yes. You can always send me a message on Telegram at MyLatinLife, where you can search by the username. So people can always reach me that way. Or in the description to this episode is a link to the Telegram groups as well. But Jimmy, yeah, you can message me or I'll give it to you offline. But there's
No, I
also a
got it.
way in the
Yeah.
description where we're going to have a link to your Facebook group. We'll have a link to the Telegram group as well. Um, yeah. Do you feel like there's any other topics that you wanted to mention with the time we have left?
I think we've done a really good job of covering a lot of things. I just really appreciate the opportunity to be on your forum and express some of the things that observations of things that I think could help a lot of people. And I think as we keep working together, definitely we'll get Johnny on and have a show with Johnny, and he brings a breath of fresh air and other perspectives that I don't have that are really good because he's knee deep in the community with his moderators and seeing what works, what doesn't, and you'll be able to pick his brain even more. So I think that'll be great. Second show that we can do with Johnny.
Sounds like a plan. Well, this has been Jimmy Rios from GringoPaisa Americans in Medellin Facebook group and Rios Business Advisors.
That's it. You got it.
Cool. And this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to this, Apple, Spotify, etc. And you won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now.